Namaskar and good evening everyone. This is Ishan Waldia and I welcome you all to Reinventing School webinar series. This is the third webinar of 9th week and here we will ideate, debate and discuss on the topic, a place for emotional well-being in academic curricula. I read somewhere that if you don't come out of this lockdown with better health, fitness and more knowledge and new skill, then you never lack time, but you lack discipline. So this is for our audience out there. If you all agree with me, I request you all to come closer to your keyboard and write yes in the chat. Great. So I see none of us can deny this fact. Wonderful. Being an adventure sport company, I can say that adventure sport has made us perseverant and taught us self-discipline. We at Rocksport adapted this new skill and has transformed Reinventing School physical conferences to virtual meeting. While many of us may find the work from home situation challenging, one of its perks is that while doing the most difficult task, we can sip on our favorite homemade beverage. Today, I am very much excited to introduce our panelists, and also I want to share that I have joined this conversation with my energy drink, and that's my all-time favorite masala chai. वो कहते हैं ना, मजबूत रिश्ते और कड़क चाय धीरे धीरे ही बनते हैं. तो चलिए चाय पे चर्चा से उन्हीं मजबूत रिश्तों की शुरुआत करते हैं. So let's ask our panelists about their favorite hot beverage. Are they a coffee person or they are a chai lover? Let's start with Novita Chopra ma'am, director of BLS Group of Institution Delhi. She has vast experience of 3 decades as educationist. She has served as principal at Venkateshwara International School Dwarka and Sachdeva Global School Dwarka. Welcome ma'am. So ma'am, please tell us, what do you drink to bring back your energy?
Good evening, everyone. I am all set to start this webinar with my fresh lemongrass tea, which is brimming with antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, need of the hour. Thanks, Ishan.
I guess it is good for your immunity as well, ma'am.
That's it, yeah.
Great. That's great. Now, moving on to our next panelist, Aarti Dada ma'am, founder principal of Cambridge International School, Fagwada. A highly motivated and competent leader with experience of 27 years in the field of education, skilled in designing innovative and hand-on activities to meet social and emotional need of students and a believer of learning by doing. Welcome, ma'am. So, ma'am, please tell us what is there in your cup and what makes it so special?
Well, it's a good cup of tea, the Indian chai, right? These days, as COVID is there, so one has to be a little more cautious. There's adrak, ajwain, little haldi and tulsi. It's a real kada which I'm having and really refreshes me.
Great, ma'am. That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
great.
Do try
So our next panelist is Amruta Prabhu ma'am, the founder principal at SDFC Public School, Pune. She has served as a teacher in CBSE and international school for over 15 years and has thereafter been an able and school administrator for over 10 years now. Welcome, ma'am. So, ma'am, what is there in your mug?
Namaskar, good evening, and my always charging cup of tulsi ginger green tea with a dash of cinnamon, which is an added digestive, I would say. Looking forward for a wonderful session together.
Great,
thank you.
Great, very great. Right. So now our next panelist is Dheeraj Arya sir, principal at Translame Academy, Meerut. Contribution in education field since 1998. Completed 28 years, has been awarded by IITA Drona Educators Award in 2019. Also awarded as Aesthetic Global Education Award in 2019. Welcome, sir. So, sir, what is the secret drink in your cup today?
I'm a coffee lover, Mr. Ishan. I'm
Great.
Here with my coffee.
So, coffee in a mug is always a hug. Wow. So, our next panelist is Sabina Keshwani, ma'am, principal of APJ Group of Education Institution, has an enriching experience as an educationist since past 26 years. Playing leadership role in ICSC, CBSE and international schools dealing in IGCSE, IB and A-level curriculum. Welcome, ma'am. So, ma'am, please tell us, is it a tea or a coffee?
Thank you, Mr. Ishan. Very good evening to everyone and all the panelists. I have my ginger and cinnamon tea with me. It is very refreshing and it kills many diseases. Thank you.
Great. Welcome, ma'am. So, our next panelist is Shashi Luthar, ma'am, principal at GD Goenka Public School, Kanpur, Ma'am has experience of 27 years in the field of education, worked at Grace Academy, Dehradun for 1.5 years as a teacher, worked at Methodist High School, Kanpur for 20 years as a teacher. Welcome, ma'am. So, ma'am, please tell us what is brewing in your cup.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Nishan. Thank you for the
Good evening,
introduction. Good evening to all the renowned people there. Of course, like Sabina, ma'am, my lemon ginger tea, all-time favorite, refreshing me and giving me energy to move ahead. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Our next panelist is Vidukesh Vimal sir, headmaster at Assam Valley School. He has taken a course in student residential care from Australia, has certificate in school management and leadership from Harvard Business School. Welcome, sir. So, sir, are you a garma garam chai person or a coffee lover?
I'm a chai guy. That's why I'm in the middle of tea gardens where our school is settled. But yes, I just finished my cup of tea with the colleagues because we had just had a meeting. So I just finished. But yes, I'm a tea guy and I normally consume 4 to 5. But my luxury, which you can't enjoy, you guys, and I'm so sorry that I always had no fresh tea from the gardens.
Oh, wow. That's lovely, sir. So thank you all the panelists. Now, before we move further, I would also want to know what is our audience favorite hot beverage. For this, we will have a quick poll on your screen. I request all the audience and panelists to answer in 30 seconds. So the very first question is, what is your preferred high tea time? So Novita ma'am, may I ask you, which time do you prefer? Is it 4 to 4:30? 4:30 to 5?
5 to 5:30.
Great, great. So ma'am, so Vidukesh sir, so I wanted to know, where do you enjoy your high tea? Is it at the school or at the home? So you need to unmute yourself.
I'll say at home. Home, you can just enjoy. You can sit in the lawn and you can enjoy your tea. Yeah.
Great, great. So let's see what the results are, what our audience have to say. So maximum people says they love to have tea between 5 to 5:30. I guess that is the right time. And most of them have said they love to have classic tea at home. Wow, great. So it seems teachers and tea have a strong bond.
Definitely.
Yes.
So I request all the audience to keep writing your question in the Q&A box, as we are going to have Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. Also, today we will allow the audience to directly ask the question from the favorite panelist. So the topic of today's webinar is a place for emotional well-being in academic curricula. And I request all the panelists to share their thoughts and opinion in 5 minutes. We also have a buzzer to remind the panelists that 4 minutes are over. Hope that will be helpful. Now I request Novita ma'am to kickstart the conversation. Over to you, Novita ma'am.
Thank you, Ishan. See, there is a universal fact that one can learn only when one is well. And with wellness, we mean both physical and emotional. And for years altogether, I have seen rock sporters working so hard to improve the physical fitness of the students. But I'm so happy to note that they are taking the lead into increasing or improving the emotional wellness of the students. So thank you, Team Rocksport. Thanks. You know, in this time of COVID-19 and the lockdowns, the importance of emotional wellness is even more. You know, think of those lakhs of students who are sitting home, eagerly waiting for their schools to reopen and start the new session physically. Think of those class 10 and 12 students who are still not over with their board exams. Don't know when the exam will happen, when will the result come, when are they going to appear in that all important IITs and NEETs, you know, for which they were preparing for past 2 years. So imagine the kind of anxiety, the kind of stress they are into. And adding on to it, there might be some financial issues of the family in the COVID time. So educators, teachers, it's just a reminder. You know, only we can do something about it. I always believe that we teachers and educators, we are God-sent people. You know, we have the power. We only have the power. professionally, we can only make a difference in people's life. We can only make careers. We can only touch lives. So it is us who have to decide. We have to take this debate off the social platform and real time into our classrooms. We have to take that decision. You know, we have to provide some specified time to these kids in the school timetable where they can discuss, they can come out with their thoughts, their feelings, maybe about themselves, about peer, about society, about school. We have to provide them a class which has an atmosphere of diversity, they should be able to distinguish between a negative emotion and a positive emotion. If a child is able to identify that I cannot do X because Y is happening, that means they are excess learning. So all this is not only going to improve their confidence, but also their self-esteem and their problem-solving skills. Later in the webinar, I will be talking about some real-time measures, some real-time activities which the teachers can do in a well-being class, just like it is happening in the Western countries. But right now, I just want to share one small true incident of a child, which everybody will relate to. Now, this is a student who was born in 1994 and a very, very bright student. By the time he was in class 2, his computer skills were all known. And, he even did a computer course from a government organization when he was in class 2. So by the time he reached the senior classes, the talk of the teachers, the talk in the family, the friends was that he is that IIT material, and he'll be clearing his IITs and he'll be doing very well. And why not? He belonged to a family full of engineers. His elder sister did her engineering and was working in a MNC with a fat package. His first 2 cousins both did their engineering and they were both settled in US. Father working in IBM. So the whole stage was set. In year 2012, he was to appear in his IIT exam with all the preparation and hard work done for 2 years of coaching and schooling. And so the day he went to give his paper, the day he entered the examination hall, he fainted. Couldn't do his paper at all. He was taken to the doctor, test done, nothing wrong with him physically. And at this moment, audience, I must tell you that I'm not talking about any other child, but I'm talking about my own son. So actually, fortunately, I was there and I had that experience of 30 years of working with the children, and I could identify that what is wrong with my son. He has just taken all that stress of performing, all the expectation that was there from him, the expectation of the teachers, of the friends, and probably his siblings have done well. All that was weighing too heavy on him. When I talked to him, I, cleared that out. I told him, it doesn't matter. IIT is not a ticket to happiness. It doesn't matter if you don't do IIT. You can still be a very happy and a very successful person. I could really talk him out of it. I mean, fortunately, it happened. And, the very next month, he appeared in a Delhi University Engineering College, cleared the paper, did his engineering. Presently, he's working in a MNC. And, recently he was sent to Sweden for his coding skills. So he's all well. Now, why I related this story, why I narrated it, because there is always a myth. Some people feel that, this kind of emotional disturbances maybe happen to those students who are not academically doing well. No, you are wrong. It can happen to the brightest of the child. It can happen to anyone. Because we have to actually de-stress the students. So educators, choice is ours. Do we want to just act now, start, incorporate the emotional well-being curriculum into our classrooms? Do we want to de-stress them? Do we want to prepare them for failures just the way that we do it for successes? Or you just want to wait and see more of Sushant Singh's doing suicide, committing suicide in the society? So choice is ours. On this very hopeful note, I will invite Madam Aarti Danda from Cambridge International School, Kapurthala.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's a great platform. Thank you, Sean. And hi to all the panelists and the viewers. Well, the debatable topic is actually of a very great importance, you see, because as ma'am said, what we want to see about the future of the children is actually very important. Now, social well-being or mental fitness is a very important thing for any happy school. It's a barometer of a happy school. Now, happy school or happy classroom, or we can say happiness quotient, is something that is very essential and very important. And being in the education sector, we have noticed that everybody, parents, be it parents or teachers or us, everybody's after the academic results and definitely after the curriculum. But we should not forget that we need to raise the children who are mentally fit and happy, you know. And if this happens, definitely the results will go high. Happiness quotient, when goes up, intelligence quotient definitely, I feel, raises, you see. And for this, you see, we need to work on from the grassroots levels, and it should be an integrated part of the curriculum. We don't say that being an educationist will have a special period for this. Everything is a part. When we say that the children should de-stress themselves, we have so many activities, physical fitness activities, and many sports coming up in the system. And we're doing meditation, calmness exercises, and talking one-to-one to children, counseling sessions going on. So it's all integrated. And the most important role, I feel, is of a teacher, where a teacher must be connected thoroughly with the child. You know, it's the teacher who would, actually see the needs and requirements of a child and would try to solve the problems, whether the child is in pain or he's suffering from some kind of agony, or something is troubling, or something that is disturbing. You see, it's the first core point is the connectivity of a teacher with the student, you know, and vice versa is the same, the home environment. You see, if you say the school has to work for the, betterment of the children and solve their problems, the home has to see, the parents need to see what the children are going through at home and have some free time with them, have some, leisure time with them, and talk out their problems and try to find the solutions, or get connected to the school back and try to see how the child can be best helped. And the pastoral care by the teacher, I feel it's a very, very phenomenal need of the time. And each teacher needs to look into it. See, we have seen classroom environments where you see the teachers are labeling children at times when the child is not able to do something successfully, or he's trying to, he's trying some other way, or maybe his learning style is different, and this is the time when the teacher needs to understand in the classroom that we need to train the children that making mistakes is okay. It's perfectly all right, because it's only if we make mistakes, we'll learn something new, So this is an important aspect, that we chisel the core competencies in a child. First of all, we make the child, very comfortable that it's okay, you can try, there is no shame or a feeling of guilt if you have committed a mistake, you see. So this is an important thing, and the most important part is to raise the self-esteem of the child, because once the child is confident and he is sure of, like, after committing mistake, I will not be penalized, or I will not be, I will not have to be faced in a different manner, I'm sure that will be a good result for, developing his personality. Second thing, what I feel is that it's important that the children should be trained these days to make responsible decision making. I say responsible because it's easy to make or take any decision, but they should take responsibility and we should be telling them how to, take responsible decisions and what effects it's going to have later. And then resilience in them is very important. The quality resilience should be developed in them, so that at the time of critical times, or you can say hardships are there, and we can't make them realize that life is a cakewalk. They need to understand that there would be troubles in life. Now, in our school, we have certain activities, like we have circle hour. The teachers sit very leisurely with the students. They talk one-to-one about their troubles or the problems, and the solutions are sorted out. First thing is this. Then we try to have other activities, like everybody tries to write one positive line about a child, and the child really feels very good with so many comments coming up with full of positivity. And then we have assigned buddies. Buddies' main role is helping the child in any kind of discussions and assignments, and talking out, moving around. And if there is a problem, then definitely he reports to the teachers and the head of the department and coordinators, so that can be sorted out. So another role is for the parents. What we feel that parents must have some us time, or I should say the pillow talk time, where they're just leisurely lying down with the child and talking with the child and trying to know about all the chores of the day, what happened, what is troubling, or what is making him happy. So I think that can help a lot, right? And of course, the stories are a very good medium, like being connected with the society, what all is happening, the incidents taking place, the many incidents we come to know about every day. So through stories, I think parents and teachers, they both can give moral values, or just improve the qualities, like having empathy towards others and understanding what is right and what is wrong. So I feel that's how it's important. There are many more things to say, but I think I'll wind it up. And it's important, the children must reflect on what they're doing, and if they make mistakes, they must learn from it. This is how we can train them gradually with different activities and other things, and I think they can do well in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti Madam. I think you've highlighted the teachers' connection and the parents' role very well. Thank you so much. And next, I would invite Madam Amrita Prabhu, Principal, HDFC School, Pune.
Good evening, everyone. At the onset, let me compliment and thank Rocksport for this unique initiative during these times, which helps all educators and other school stakeholders to connect and ideate better tomorrow. Social and emotional learning, as we have been hearing now, is the process through which children understand and manage emotions and is perceived as the future of education the world over. Undiagnosed mental health conditions will definitely affect a student's ability to learn and grow. Teachers focusing on self are more likely to respond to students with empathy and nurture better bonds. And like Aarti ma'am just said, they should be trained to be pastoral caregivers and not just facilitators. School managements also need to acknowledge that qualified wellness educators or counselors are not just ornamental additions, but an integral part of the school community. The COVID-19 pandemic has certainly produced a variety of challenges for all the stakeholders. And like Novita ma'am said, it is on us educators to emotionally guide our students during remote learning too. Remember, social distancing should not lead to social isolation. Help them by practicing the 3 R's: reassurance, routines, and regulation. Help to increase the children's self-efficacy. So how can it translate into the classroom's happiness quotient? Well, the measure of a school's quality is how happy its students are. I remember when we launched our school in 2017, several parents and curious inquiries whom I met during the initial phases used to question me as to what would be that one thing which would be a differentiating factor for us. And I used to say, it may sound very simple, but I want my school to be a happy school. It would be my endeavor always to ensure that my students, teachers, and support staff feel happy about getting up in the morning and look forward for going to school every day. The day they wouldn't feel so would be a cause for concern and lead me to introspect within as an administrative head. The Happy School framework launched by UNESCO looks at 22 criteria under the categories of people, processes, and places. It calls for education systems to shift away from traditional measures and contribute to enhancing happiness. So how do we balance our academics with the co-curriculars? Well, studies have proven that students who are involved in at least one or more co-curricular activity tend to perform much better and enjoy their school experience more than those who don't. The latest CBSE and NCERT guidelines focus on integrating activities such as sports and performing arts with regular core curriculum to make learning fun and interesting for students across age groups. The board's emphasis this year on art integration and life skills education speaks volumes about balancing academics with the co-curriculars. The HDFC School in Pune focuses on the mental health and well-being of the students as it leads to significant improvements in their overall performance, as we have witnessed. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced, said James Baldwin. We also believe and acknowledge that teachers and other school employees often tend to undergo high levels of occupational stress. A Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence survey of 5,000 teachers amid COVID asked them to describe the most frequent emotions they felt each day. The answer: anxious, fearful, worried, overwhelmed, and sad. These were the top 5. Isn't it alarming and revealing? So supporting teachers' emotional well-being and resilience is critical for creating a positive school climate and retaining quality educators. To conclude, I would like to quote the famous philosopher Nietzsche, who said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." So friends, let's not just harp or woo about the whys surrounding us, but let's work on the hows and make our schools safe, happy, healthy, and the world a better place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So Novita ma'am, with your due permission, can we have a poll on the screen? You need to unmute yourself, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. So before you do that, I just wanted to mention that Amrita madam has placed it very beautifully. Social distancing should not lead to social isolation. Loved it, Amrita ma'am. Really nice. Thank you. So Ishan, you can go ahead with the poll.
So can we have a poll on our screen? Thank you, ma'am. So do you believe that de-stressing activities should be added in our everyday timetable? So Vidukesh sir, can we have your views on this?
Definitely, if you may say, because we are a complete boarding school, and these activities are part of our day-to-day life from morning 6 o'clock when the child goes to the ground for the morning conditioning until in the evening. And every day is filled with activities. Not a single day is there when activities are not there. And all kind of activities, because activities should not be burden on the child. Fine. That, he should have or she should have enough choice. Like we offer around say 20 odd sports and 30 odd activities in terms of, extracurriculum that way. So you need to ensure that they get the choice, and activities are for them. That's why there should not be, many times what happens when we start activities, we introduce competitions in that, right? I personally feel, and I'm a great, supporter of that activities should be there just for the sake of activities. Please do not bring inter-houses, do not bring inter-school activities. Otherwise, it just kills the whole idea of having the activity in the school.
Very true, sir.
Very true.
So Sashi ma'am, what do you have to say on this? Ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
like Vidukesh sir, I have been into boarding schools, and this is also a boarding plus day school. So we do this for the boarding students, and it is important. De-stressing is important, and even our daily timetable, the schedule is like that. That after 2 teaching periods, we have some music or dance, or some other skill-based activity to break the monotony and to bring that pressure down of the students so that they can perform well in their academics. So I totally agree with this, that we should have de-stressing activities in school.
Right. Thank you, Vidukesh sir. Thank you, Sashi ma'am. So can we have the results, and let's see what the audience have to say. Wow, that's amazing. 99% of the audience says that there should be de-stressing activities in a timetable. Great. So now over to you, Novita ma'am.
Okay, thanks, Ishan. So now next I invite Mr. Dheeraj Arya from Translam Academy, Meerut. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Novita madam. Thank you very much. And I would like to extend my thanks to Rock Sport also, who's organizing this wonderful webinar with a wonderful topic. Definitely, well-being is the need of the time, and it must be discussed, as we are seeing recently in our society during this COVID. Number of TV actors, film actors are committing suicide. So if it was discussed earlier, so this type of incidents couldn't be taken place. So, and if we talk about society, so our society over the past several years, it is believed in our society that success in life or at workplace depends upon the individual level of intelligence or academic achievement. Examination passed, the marks obtained by the students, these are the benchmarks of the success in our society. If these are the bench of the success, so why these suicides are being committed? Because Sushant Singh Rajput was the 7th rank holder in IIT. He has passed several engineering examinations. So now, after so many research, the emotional intelligence has been revealed now that emotional well-being is the most important determinant of the extent of professional and personal success in life. Now people are doing with it. So emotional health is a positive state of well-being which enables an individual to be able to function in the society and meet the demands of everyday life. It is also related to a high EQ. And individuals with high EQ are more successful in life because they deal with anxiety. They are able to deal with anxiety. They can cope up with the stress in a better way. They can develop a closer relationship with their parents, teachers, and the society. So EQ is the demand of the time to be taught in the curriculum. And that's why I'm telling Rock Sport is doing a good job this time. So very survey and research has revealed that depression and anxiety lead to the reduced student learning through decreased concentration, motivation, interest, and challenges to cognitive functions such as working memory. And moreover, adolescents who experience poor mental health during the ages of 16 and 17 have been found to be less likely to obtain higher education degrees than adolescents without such challenges. So these are the studies, I'm not telling, these are the different studies by experts. This time teachers, parents can play a vital role. Schools can play a better role to cope up with the students, to make them able to meet all these challenges. Teachers also must be trained properly. When teachers are well equipped with moral, professional, emotional, intellectual, and practical communication skills, they can understand the need of the learners and they can provide enriched environment for their growth if teachers are well trained. In this scenario, our ancient education system was much more better. If we talk about, I'm not against the modern education system. Modern education system this time focuses at all around development of a child, physically, morally, socially, emotionally, means holistic development concept. They are also doing that. But in modern system, that was much richer. That time, holistic development was much more focused. Hindu epics like Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, if the teachings of those are taught in my previous speaks also, wherever I used to speak, normally I used to quote Hindu epics, Ramayana, Gita, and other Mahabharata. These are the best resources for teaching emotional well-being. If the teaching of these epics are included in school curriculum, we can prepare more emotionally sound children for a better future. If we talk about the Bhagavad Gita only, there are many examples from Bhagavad Gita which may prove effective in building resilience in school children. Gita teaches people to treat pleasure and pain, success and failure alike, and suggests that failure is also a step in one's progress. It also teaches people to focus on their actions and not on the results, for there are the factors that affect the results. There are many such profound thoughts that words from of the wisdom and many ancient Indian scripture that it may be adapted to guide our children today. Same way from Ramayana, there is an important lesson for us there, as in practically everything that Rama does. Valmiki didn't write the Ramayana to entertain us, though it does give us literary entertainment, the highest quality, but that is also to educate us. Rama's life is a series of lessons which can be taught to the students, and we can prepare better students for the future. When Keki demanded that the crown of Ayodhya should go to the Bharata, Rama should go for the exile of the 14 years. Was Ram upset? Not at all. No emotions were seen. Happily, he left all the luxuries of the palace. So that was the strong mental health, strong wellness of the Rama that time. And moreover, for better health, we should be, physical health is also can play an important role. And always, normally clear distinction is often made between mind and body. But when considering mental health and physical health, the two should not be thought of as separate. In a healthy body, there is a healthy mind. Poor physical health can lead to an increased risk of developing mental health problems. Similarly, poor mental health can negatively impact on the physical health, leading to an increased risk of some conditions. So take care of your mind, your body will thank you. And take care of your body, your mind will thank you. And in this field, sport is doing rocking activities, and they are making a healthy, sound students. So thanks to Rock Sport, and I just want to conclude with this message: keep your body healthy, your mind will be healthy, and keep your mind healthy, your body will be healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj sir. You've wonderfully put the importance of EQ and the inclusion of Gita and Ramayana. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, I would invite Dr. Vidukesh Vimal sir from Assam Valley School, I think right from the gardens. Am I right, sir?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how many of you are aware of our school, but yes, it's in Assam, from 3 hours from Guwahati, and in the middle of the gardens. We have the luxury to have a campus, which is a huge campus, around 300 acres campus. So that's something we are having the luxury of that. Let me, kind of pick certain things, and I would like to focus on from where Mr. Dheeraj left, and he talked about, and then I'll go to Ma'am Amrita, what she just covered a little bit, and in fact, in a big way. And, and Dheeraj sir rightly mentioned about Krishna and Arjuna. And then my question is, let's assume that Krishna was mentally healthy and mentally stable. That's why he can deliver Gita to Arjuna. Now take the example of Krishna to our present day school setup, and take the example of Krishna to our school setup. All students are Arjun and all teachers are Krishna. But let's think about our Krishnas of today's in our school, how they are treated, where they are, what kind of mental well-being and mental health they are in. What about their emotional well-being? Because when we talk about school, we forget that school has two very important components, student and teacher. We talk too much about students. The student should do this, we should be doing for this, teacher need to understand. Sometimes, I give an analogy that, we treat teachers like a new daughter-in-law in the family. where everyone is ready to give some kind of piece of advice to that person. Everyone will come from any corner, any room in that family, and something will be told. You're not walking properly, you're not kind of standing properly, you need to lift this thing like this, and that it goes like that. And sometimes we treat teachers like a widow or daughter-in-law, or say widow bhabhi of the mohalla or your city, where anyone can come and crack a joke with you, anyone can come and say anything about you. And when this is happening, the teacher, as Ma'am Amrita said, the Yale research says that they're having these 5 issues. They are anxious about the salary, they are anxious about their well-being, they are anxious about their family. How you are expecting an anxious guy to calm someone? Think about it. Krishna being anxious and giving a lecture on Gita is not possible. And that's why it's very, very important when we want to create a stable school, a school where social well-being is valued. It's very important to look after the emotional and social well-being or the emotional well-being of teachers. The school which fails in doing this, I guess, then everything just become preaching, or just for the sake of meeting, just for the sake of presentation, just for the sake of outreach program when you talk to people outside the world, but you don't look after their well-being. Especially, and why we are talking about all this, because it's going to be like pre-COVID life. There's always some big incidents which happen in this world, like post-World War II and pre-World War II, and same way pre-Babri Masjid, post-Babri Masjid, and all pre-9/11 and post-9/11. Something on those lines will be post-COVID and pre-COVID. And in post-COVID life, we need to see that how we are going to tackle the situation and how we are going to support our teachers. One of the biggest challenges which our teachers are facing is capacity building, because the classes have moved from the traditional classroom teaching to, say, online teaching. And many of the teachers, they face the issue because they are from that generation where having a computer knowledge was desirable experience. It was written that it is desirable to know computers. But in today's time, it's not desirable. It's an essential kind of qualification. So we are going to look after them. That's A aspect. And B, if I say, where our life is becoming a little too virtual in terms of students, I must say. And that's why it's very, very important to bring them back to reality, where they are in real, they are experiencing emotions, in real, they're interacting with real people. And once that happens, and how we can create it through real activities. And I guess there, Rocksport and companies like them are very, very important, because they allow people, especially schools, who cannot afford to have the luxury of big campus, all the activities on campus, all kinds of stuff. They are one of the good options in that way. And definitely you allow your students to have the real experience. Once you have the real experience, definitely your emotions will be real. Otherwise, your emotions are only restricted till you are login. The moment you log out, you are free from your responsibilities. And that way you cannot create a sensible society or sensible human being. Because to be a sensible human being, you need to experience the real emotions. And I guess if schools can invest in the real activities, which are hands-on activities, which allows them to experience, sometimes you need to experience defeat, sometimes you need to experience different kind of things, go through the stress of preparing for some event or all kind of stuff. When this is real, things are sorted. So on this note, I'll say we need to definitely look after the well-being of our teachers, and at the same time we need to create some real activities for our students to ensure that they experience real life rather than being part of a virtual world in the virtual social media platform. Thank you.
Novita ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Vidyukesh Vimalji. I think the fresh ideas can come only from fresh gardens. So I'm so happy that, you touched upon the emotional well-being of the teachers, which is really, really very, very important. Thank you so much. I think, Ishan, you are ready for the poll?
Yes, ma'am. It is time for the third poll.
Okay,
and
sure.
Can we have the poll on our screens? So do you think teachers should be trained on increasing the happiness quotient of the class? So Aarti, I want Aarti ma'am and Amruta ma'am to answer on this in quick 30 seconds. Aarti ma'am, over to you.
Definitely, teachers should be trained, and as Vidukesh sir said, that it's important that the teacher's emotional well-being is very, very important. So if the teacher is happy and we are conducting activities, there should be some activities like we have in our school, different sports activities, certain meditation activities, and dance activities for teachers. There should be other activities too, so that the teacher's fitness can be taken care of first, so that they are happy, and simultaneously, if they are happy, it will be a happy classroom, and they will be able to see to the needs of the children in a very best way, definitely.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. So Amruta ma'am, what do you have to say on this? What are your views?
Yes, I firmly believe that happy teachers create happy classrooms. So that says it all. And for the teachers to be happy, it is the administrators and the management who have to be well equipped and ensure that we keep this flock happy. Only if they are happy, they are going to translate it further to our students within the classrooms, either through remote learning or in actual classrooms also. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Now let's see what our audience have to say about it. So can we have the results on our screen? Bingo. So I guess maximum people says that yes, teachers should be trained on increasing happiness quotient in class. So with this, ma'am, Namita ma'am, over to you.
All right. So next, on the panel, we have Dr. Sabina Keshwani, ma'am, whom I believe she's from EPIGIS group of educational institutions, and whom I believe she has some implementation model already ready for the emotional well-being. So over to you, ma'am.
Sabina ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mrs. Novita. Thank you, Rocksport, for organizing such an insightful seminar. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you all the viewers for viewing this. I have built, a model on a growth mindset. So when we speak about, a couple of panelists have spoken about the strategies what we utilize in our classroom. So rightly said that the happy teacher can translate the happiness in the students. Similarly, the happiness comes right from the beginning, right from the top level, and it pours down, so that if the teacher is happy and if the teacher is taking care of the class, minutely reflecting each and every child, visualizing it, and trying to sort out wherever there is a difficulty, wherever she finds that certain student is unable to cope up, unable to manage, unable to pay attention. So if she's taking that kind of care, then only that happiness will generate, and we will be able to sustain that. If we look into the growth mindset, it's kind of a miniature model which talks about emotional well-being of the entire school building, entire stakeholders. So the first parameter comes with positive psychology. Whatever happens in the school, if you view it positively, now the COVID happened all of a sudden in the month of March, but within the spur of a second, within 2-3 days, the school have adopted the virtual classrooms. I mean, the way they adopted and the way the changes have come in, the way the transformation have taken place. So very positively, the change has been taken up. It has been live, done, and we are getting very good results for that. Another important thing is the parental partnership. So all the stakeholders, including the parents who are the major partners, if we keep parents in a loop all the time, and we try to discuss with them the difficulties the child is facing, the kind of time the child is spending in academics, child's performance in non-academics, extracurricular, co-curricular, where the child requires improvement, along with the resource team of the school, the counselors team of the school, the special educator team, the OTP department, all that, if they take care of this particular aspect, I think the child can really make wonders. We can create a miracle by looking into the minutest details, Sometimes we talk about big things in a group or maybe in a staff meeting, but I tell my teachers the smallest thing, how to hold a marker, how to write on a board, it's very important. And if we pay the attention to the minutest level of each and every aspect of the school, certainly we can make a difference. Then again, the voluntary work. if we incorporate the community work, the voluntary work, the joy of giving kind of activity in a classroom at a school level, percolating right from pre-primary to the higher secondary level, students can really go through that process, and we can see the difference. We can see they learn the value of gratitude. They understand, they maintain the gratitude journal, they introspect, they reflect, they try to write it down. Students who are being bullied in a classroom, they also have certain strong points within them. So maybe other students, if the teachers can tell them, the educator can tell the students that, you know, you need to take care of so-and-so students, maybe a kind of a peer learning system, and try to write down in a journal what is the good quality in that child. And if we try to understand that and try to share with the parents and try to dig into the deep, go to the root cause of it, we can find out that where the child is finding it difficult. Again, then we can look into the enabling environment. If we can give the enabling environment in the school, taking care of how we decorate the classroom, how we display the charts, how the value system is being placed, how we run the assembly. Very well said by the panelists about, you know, like we generally have a telling a story in an assembly, and how you can call out the moral values, the ethical values from that story from Mahabharata, story from Quran, story from epics, general value-based stories from Panchatantra. All that stories, if we explain in the classroom, certainly students get the message, the crux of it. Then we also have the system where we have a student newspaper. So if the student is very creative, they want to put up any kind of a poems, any creative work, any artwork, any kind of a content writing. So they display that, they give that, and that is the way. If they are not good in academics, they try to build through creative activities, and they get that kind of acknowledgement, the praise they get, it becomes tremendous help for the educator to motivate and to inspire that particular child. Then we have to look into the intellectual quotient, emotional quotient, certainly the well-being, the emotional well-being, the spiritual quotient. We also have the meditation system, me time system, where we can reflect, we can introspect, yoga, so that in the morning time when we do yoga for 5 minutes, we play the yoga music, we do the meditation. All these techniques really make wonders. We have an enrichment hour session in the beginning, so where we try to discuss the life skills. We pick up the stories from the Times of India, that the student paper which comes. So the students, they read it maybe the early 1 day prior, 2 day prior, the earlier paper. Then we try to discuss and relate the value system. We also have the RTE students, the inclusion students. This brings a lot of diversity in a class. Students learn the pluralistic values. They try to mix and merge with those students. They understand how the students are going through emotional crisis, financial crisis. The RTE students, which the government has given to incorporate in a class, certainly they have many lack of resources. So when you merge and when you gel with them, you learn so many things. Happiness quotient at the top. With all that, I would just like to give one quote of Dr. Kalam. He said that this undoubtedly takes a toll, but the happiness quotient set by Socrates and Aristotle in the earlier days also has really made wonders in the education system. So if we take care of this happiness quotient, the emotional well-being can be taken care of. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sabina. Wonderfully put. So many suggestions in such a short time. I hope everybody is make a note of it. Next, last but not the least, I have Madam Shashi Luther from GD Goenka Public School, Kanpur. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Novita ma'am. And thank you all of it. It was nice listening to you. And I was, when I heard each one of you, and I being the last one, I was so happy to see that all the leaders, wherever we are, we almost think alike. This is the best part. And I'm so thankful to Rock Sport for bringing us on a similar platform where we can share and we can, inculcate and, get ideas and suggestions. especially in these times of COVID. This was such a sudden thing, as if you were watching, you were just standing near a river or a sea and someone came and pushed you into the virtual world. And even if you want, you cannot come out of it. We don't see any way out, right? So, we are riding in the same storm, but we each need to manage our own boat. And this kind of school shutdown has never been in the past. Since I was born, I have never heard about it.
Yes.
It's so difficult for everyone, being a teacher or an administrator or a management or parent or student. For everyone, it's a difficult time, and everyone needs to cope up. And so everyone needs to support each other in their own way. And I totally agree with Novita ma'am. I totally agree with Vidukesh sir. Each one of you, what you said is true. That, and what I say school means, teaching means student and teacher. Student and teacher, like Dr. Vidukesh said, the teachers have to be taken care of. If they are emotionally strong, they will definitely create emotionally strong students. And the future would be safe. They would be more confident in future. So we need to take care of both of them. So then when I was pondering on it, and when I was told that the theme would be a place for emotional well-being in academic curriculum, so I thought of SEL, the social emotional learning for students. And then I said, okay, it should be social emotional teaching for teachers, So it is becoming the primary work, for educators. So SEL has actually become not one thing in our plate, but it has become the plate now. So we have to keep this in mind and then go on with our curriculum, with the academics. So we need to pay more attention or greater attention towards the social well-being of all our students and their social emotional needs. As most of them are suffering, as we said, of course, Amrita ma'am also mentioned, and Aarti ma'am, everyone mentioned that children are suffering these days. And they don't even know how to express it because they never thought that they will be locked inside those four walls and always with the parents. And, this age of student life is such a time when, they think that parents are always against. And teachers have to counsel them. The counselors have to counsel them that, no, they are your best guides. They are the ones that who will give you the right, suggestion and tell you about the right path that you need to follow. But we have been into that stage in those years. We also used to think always nagging parents, they don't like us to enjoy and all those things. And apart from that, then locked inside and also study, not able to meet their friends, not able to share anything. So they are the ones who are actually suffering the most. They might go into depression. So it's very important that we keep connected. And as ma'am said, that we should be having the counseling sessions. So in our school also, we have since March 26, since we started the virtual classes, we have had a lot of counseling sessions in different ways with different people coming for different level children, talking to them, motivating them. And, I also talk to the parents and I tell them to take it as a positive thing, take it as an opportunity that sometimes we want to be with our children, but because we need to be out of our houses to work, to earn, so we are not able to devote so much of time with our children and we don't get time to understand them. So this is the best time where you can have your family hour time, you can sit and talk to them and, share with them and let them talk as much as they want and give a listening ear to them. This is what a person needs. Everyone wants to be heard. And today only I had a case of a girl, of grade 10. She was so broken and she's a brilliant girl, very good in academics. And she called up my counselor and it's very difficult to be in the house and all. And she counseled and she talked to her for almost 2 hours. And then she said, good, I called you, ma'am. So it's very, very important that we work with them. And we need to develop in the students their self-awareness, the self-management skills. We need to cultivate students' social awareness and relationship skills and ethical decision-making skills and sense of social responsibility by holding different days like Earth Day and, all these days and how we can create these awareness in them and deepen empathy in them and encourage kindness and compassion among themselves. But as Vidukesh sir said, that of course teachers are also a very important part, especially these days when students are, locked in their homes. And Amrita ma'am also said, I was also thinking that anxiety is the main factor which the teacher suffers with. So it is a work of, the leaders, the management, the administration, that we, be with them, we talk to them, we have some free time with them and appreciate them and motivate them and give them suggestions, so that with strength and with encouraged mind, they can move on with their work. Because for them also it was such a, big change to be away from children and get everything done, get all the activities done, get the summer camp done, get the unit 1 exams done, everything, get the corrections done, and keep them happy. Call them at least 5 students per day and find that they are fine and everything is okay. New students orientation, everything they had to do virtually. So I really appreciate my teachers. I appreciate all the teachers everywhere. They have proved themselves. They are the best. And I agree with you, Novita ma'am, that teachers are in the shoes of gods. I also tell my teachers this, that, it should be by choice. It should be choice that every god, whatever name you have given to that supernatural power, has been teaching. So you are, in place of God, and you are blessed. So this is how we can motivate them and, create such an atmosphere that we can go on till we reach the post-pandemic situations. And then we need to teach them how to deal with the emotional, disbalance of the students when they come back. Because of course, I agree, someone from you mentioned that there must be some problems at home. Parents must have lost their jobs, that insecurity, that troubles, and those talks that they've been hearing, insecure future. So we have to, build it up. We have to hold their hands and move ahead. So it's very important. And of course, as you said, Ishan, too much to talk, but very less time. Still, I appreciate Rock Sport for your efforts. And thank you, each one of you panelists. I loved hearing you, loved connecting with you. God bless, and may God give us the courage to move on in this virtual world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So now I request Novita ma'am. Ma'am, would you please sum it up, the webinar?
Yeah. So first of all, Shashi ma'am, thank you so much. You've put it beautifully. And I agree with you that, listening to all of you, we are all from different states, I believe, right? And if everybody, all our educators, all our leaders who are running the schools, we are all so aware and we all know the importance of emotional well-being. So I'm so helpful. I'm so happy. Our future is secured, and I'm sure the kids would be taken care of. The teachers will be taken care of, and there'll be a lot of trainings to be given to the teachers and keep them happy to keep the students happy. In the end, I would also like to mention a few activities which I just got to know, because last year I traveled to some European countries, and there, the well-being curriculum is being taught. So I just entered one of the classroom with there was a well-being class happening. So the teacher told me that, today the topic she's taking is of individuality and diversity. And she wants the students to discuss a concrete discussion on abstract ideas of like, in what ways are we all same? In what ways are we all different? Am I special? Is it okay to be different? Should we all treat everybody as same? All these discussions she wanted the kids to have. So what she did, she on a computer, on a screen, she showed one picture of a man, and that man had a stern look on his face, and he was wearing a wrestling kind of a dress, and with all the tattoos on his forearms. And she asked the students, okay, just think, just say one word which comes to your mind looking at this picture. So somebody said bad, somebody said strong, somebody said power, somebody said rude. Said okay. Then she changed the picture. And then there was this man wearing a white coat and had a smiling face. And now the kids said nice, happy, helpful. So the teacher said, what if I tell you that they were the pictures of the same man? So don't judge by the dress that they are wearing. Don't judge by the skin color. That's not the way to judge people. So there are concrete ways she gave. There was a circle time happening. There was a group discussion happening. In some other class, there was a debate happening because the teacher had on the screen a slide which says, boys don't cry. Boys don't wear pink. So there was a one-to-one discussion happening, and everybody was coming out with their feelings and their thoughts. And you see, this is what we need. This is the need of the hour. We need to give them a platform where they can come out with their feelings about themselves, about their peer, about the society, and only then we will be able to de-stress them. Thank you so much, Ishan. And I think you want to have some question answer session now.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a wonderful session. With this, it is a time for Q&A round. Since we are running out of time, I request all the panelists to share their views in 60 seconds. Audience, please raise your hand if you want to ask any question from your favorite panelist. We can take 1 or 2 questions. There is a small icon of raise hand on your screen. Click it to raise your hand. So, can we have Meenu Sharma, ma'am? Can we unmute Meenu Sharma, ma'am? Hello.
Yeah, hi, good
ma'am,
evening,
good evening.
everyone. It's always a pleasure listening all the panelists. They are so expert. And yeah, today after hearing the session, I have one question. You may forward to any of the panelists. All are wonderful speakers. When we talk about emotional well-being, so this is the high time when students are working from home with a lot of queries in their mind. And I want to ask help how we can help our tiny tots to understand, toddlers to understand कि ये बाहर क्या हो रहा है, क्यों पापा घर में बैठे हुए हैं, क्यों मेड नहीं आ रही. तो उनकी ये जो इमोशनल वेलबींग है कहीं ना कहीं डिस्टर्ब हुई है उनकी. वो देख रहे हैं घर में सिनेरियो चेंज हो गया. तो इन बच्चों को कैसे संभालें?
So,
who wants to take it up?
Sashi ma'am, can you answer this? Okay, Amruta ma'am has raised the hand. Amruta ma'am, please.
No, if anyone else is wanting to go ahead, they can.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. So I would say, Meenu ma'am, a wonderful question. And I took it up because we are dealing with our tiny tots from the pre-primary and kindergarten online sessions. And we try to reach out to them virtually. Basically, what I have discussed with my teachers, and I met the parents virtually also. And I told them that, yes, we are facing this crisis, but we have to be resilient enough. We are facing it in our own way. There are issues with the workplace. There are issues in the household chores. There are issues, multiple issues are going on. But we should, when we are with the children, we do not have to speak about it because we have to be strong and happy for them. What I am going to perceive and what I am going to translate as a parent or as a teacher is going to be reflected further into the child. So we always ensure that this is a new kind of learning, and children are always attracted to the word new. They are always, and this is, I always feel this generation is a techie generation. So they are always wonderfully attracted to the gadgets, and anything happening virtually, they feel happy about it. So I tell my teachers, you're like the superstars, the heroes or the heroines, which they used to otherwise see on the screens, maybe in serials or on movies. And now they are getting to see their teachers. So you are like the heroines or the heroes, and your children are able to see you every day. And that really works well. Even the parents, we have tried to pacify them. We've tried to counsel them and tell them that please be at ease. This too shall pass. And we have to ensure at this moment that we be happy for our children, because we want our children later on to remember these days as happy times when they were together as a family and were able to interact much more. Earlier, the fathers were so busy, or even the mothers were so preoccupied that we used to have little quality time. But today, this is a God-sent opportunity. So rather than looking at it as a negative aspect, let's see the positivity where we are getting to spend quality time with our family, and let's translate that into happiness for them. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very positive approach here.
Anybody else wants to add on this?
Yes, if
Okay,
Vishant
sir.
received
Yes.
permission. In fact,
Please, sir.
just to add to what Amrita ma'am said, there's a very famous say which was used in 1970s when the great economic depression was there. And they said, never allow a good disaster to go waste.
Mm.
And I think that's very important that we understand that okay, disaster is the reality. There are definitely issues, but how we are going to respond to the disaster, that's in our control. Fine. And as ma'am said, I guess as parents, you guys need to, we all need to create engagement for our students, because without engagement, nothing is going to happen. And I guess it will give all the parents the opportunity to think how teachers they design the engagement in the day-to-day life of the student, and appreciate the effort of the school and the teachers, that okay, how they were designed on a daily basis, where they were engaged. So I think designing the engagement is the most important part here.
And I think since the question was for the toddlers, wanted to ask about the little ones. So actually, for little ones, the storytelling and using maybe puppets or doing live activity with them is the best way to do it. Use some stories, some cartoons, some storytelling with puppets, tell the teachers to make some models and, explain them through that. So they are all very fascinated. The little ones in the houses are nowadays saying, okay, look, Papa, I'm also having a meeting. The class. So they are actually very interested in the classes. Yes.
Right, ma'am. So audience, please raise your hand if you have any more questions. So we have Mr. Deepak Tyagi. Can we please unmute Mr. Deepak Tyagi? Deepak sir, you can ask your question.
Sir, my question is to Dr. Vidukesh. He had mentioned about the happiness of the teachers. So I'm myself a principal, and in some of the teachers I've seen in my own school as well as in other schools also, that right from 19th of March, when we closed our school, I've been motivating my teachers, and they have been working very hard till the first week of June. And the problem comes that it is a common problem that most of the teachers, either they have got their salaries partially or they haven't got.
Yeah.
So a teacher, when he is broken from inside, how will he be able to deliver happiness to his students?
Thank you very much, Mr. Tyagi. I think you have asked a very pertinent question. And I'll tell you, in my first meeting, when I met my teachers, first day after the lockdown, just before the lockdown, 19th of March, we met first. And I said, I have 3 priorities in this year, fine. Your salary for next 1 year, your LTA, and your increment. These are going to be my 3 priorities, and I assure you that nothing will be compromised. And trust me, till date, we haven't compromised a single penny, on not only on teacher, not on single staff on the campus. And we have looked after that way, not only the permanent staff, but the casual staff, those who are working from outside. Every month we are giving them the ration, because obviously we can't give them salary in that way, the big way, but the ration of 5,000 rupees something, so that they can run their houses. And that way, I guess that's a very, very important part, that you look after the economic well-being of the teacher. Once that is taken care of, because from there anxiety is coming, from there everything is coming. And that's why I feel you need to ensure that the teacher feels that someone is there for them. If they don't feel this, and especially the head, like just before this webinar, I meet every day a group of teachers just for have a cup of tea and samosa and just chit chat. And we just talk about our school days, our college days, we laugh, we crack jokes and all kind of stuff, just to ensure that, we are seeing each other as human beings rather than principal and teachers all the time.
Right. Thank you, sir. So my next question is going to be for Amrita ma'am. Sorry, Aarti ma'am and Amrita ma'am as well. So the question is, what according to you can school do more to promote mental health of student?
Well, for promoting the mental health of the students, the outdoor activities can be managed. Like I have been managing with you, Rocksport. Like things have been really good for teachers also and parents also. These sessions can be taken up for parents also, and many other counseling sessions can be held. Counselors can be called over, and since now everything is online, counseling sessions should be taken up online. And we should be talking one-to-one to parents and the students, and definitely teachers have made a very vital role at the moment. They have really worked hard, and they've really helped moving the whole thing. And parents also on their part, they're really working hard at the moment, and both hands are meeting to do things in a mutual way. So I feel parents and the teachers both have to be coordinated well and look into the needs of the children. And definitely the small little things from both sides at this pandemic situation can help out ease up things and make things better for them.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, Amruta, ma'am, what do you have to say on this?
Yes, I would say that, like I said earlier, at the HDFC School Pune, we place a lot of importance on the social and emotional well-being, not just of the students, but of all stakeholders, be it the students, the teachers, or even the parents as well. So we have invested a lot of time and resources and efforts to build up a good counselors and special educators needs department. We call it the CSEN department, wherein we have continuous professional development sessions happening for the teachers, wherein we train our teachers to be pastoral caregivers besides just facilitators. Also, these counselors and special education teachers, they take regular sessions with the children, maybe of mindfulness, for meditation. Also, we have introduced school cinema, where through cinema, we are trying to inculcate life skills and value systems into our children, because their children can relate to indirectly what is happening on the screen. They are able to inculcate those values much better. Also, for the parents, we have on a regular basis, maybe once in a month or once in 2 months, we do have sessions wherein we see that they are anxious about a particular thing, depending on whether they belong to the pre-primary section or the higher grades. There could be anxieties of different kinds, and today's parents are very much well aware and very much involved with their children and their children's academic and co-curricular growth. So to soothe them and to give them an idea that, okay, yes, this is the way to move forward. You need to trust the institution. You need to have faith in the teachers, and you need to have faith in your own child and your own abilities as a parent. So we have these regular professional development sessions going on, I think, which is really working well for the institution as a whole. But like, I would like to say that this is an ongoing process. I cannot say that we have started and yes, it has ended and now it's all hunky-dory. It's always an ongoing process. There are always ups and then there are downs. But the moment there is something which erupts, we try to nip it in the bud in a very critical manner, so that the same kind of issues do not come again. That is how we try to do it. Thank you.
Right.
I'll add on, Amrita ma'am. I'll add on, like you beautifully put it down. And what I feel is there should be more activities right to the self for the students. Like they can express their feelings through doodling, and they can express themselves through diary writing. And naturally, these diaries and doodling activities, they should be shared with the teachers and the parents, so that they come to know what state of mind the children are going through at this moment when they're just shut down inside the house. And also we can have some weekend talking with the teachers, where they're just online talking about their problems or the experiences or what good they have done at home, you see. And I think things will surely pass on that way. And we both will have an insight, the schools and the parent, and we both will have the insight to know what the child is actually going through, and we can be, of great help to just put him at place. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. As I can see, Dheeraj sir has answered many questions. So my next question is for Dheeraj sir. So there's a question: how can we prepare our parents to become positive about offline classes in future? So this question is for Dheeraj sir and Sashi ma'am.
So Mr. Ishan, very nice question. We can see the protest of the parents in different cities, in different states. Continuously they are protesting for the offline classes. But if we conversate with them, if we show the power of conversation with them, We tell them the positively. Sometimes I've told the few teachers also to reduce the time on screen timing and online teaching timings. So definitely they will be cooperating with us. Such type of, like we are organizing this type of webinars can be done on Zoom. Person to person calls can be done by class teachers. So if we are able to convince them through strong communication skills, definitely they will be supporting. No parent is against the teachings. They are just against the screen timing and they are concerned about the adverse health effects for their children only. So if we are able to convince, definitely they will be supporting us.
Right. Please said, sir. Sashi ma'am, what do you have to say on this?
Very true. It's only convincing the parents. We need to talk to them and tell them that knowledge cannot stop, learning cannot stop. We cannot make it a 0 year. And this is the only way out, that we need to be virtual. And then we can plan the time schedule, like we have 6 periods. So we have given 15 minutes break in between, making it a fruit break or a lunch break, so that, the children can go and wash their eyes and, take a bath or eat something or have milk, breaking that screen time for them. So it is only talking to the parents and convincing them that there's no other way out, that we need to. So everyone has to, cooperate with each other, and because the child has to grow and the learning has to go on. So convincing would be the best part that we
Right, ma'am. Right. So my next question is for Novita ma'am and Sabina ma'am. That what are some initiatives that your school will take to improve mental well-being of the students?
Okay, so yeah, all right. I'll go ahead first. I already mentioned it, Ishan, that I want to take it up as incorporate it as a curriculum. I want my teachers to be making a framework. At the beginning of the session, we are all going to sit down and decide on certain topics customized to the needs of our student. So we are going to decide on certain topics, and every week I want that when we start an assembly, the teacher will introduce that topic in the assembly. It should then be later on taken to the well-being class, where it will be explored further, and then there'll be thought of concrete ways for discussions. So how the discussions would happen on those topics is the whole thing has to be planned, because the whole purpose of having an emotional well-being classroom is not that the teacher is teaching and the students are listening. No, it has to be the other way around. Here we have to hear the students, so they have to take that responsibility. We have to just give them those abstract ideas to discuss and how to discuss. So this is the whole framework should be made, and it should be that we should have a specified class, a timetable given at least one period in a week where such activities that I've mentioned, the way the Western countries are doing, so such activities can be taken up, so where the students can de-stress themselves. Yeah, thanks.
Over to you, Sabina ma'am.
We have thought of we will run the motivational clubs where, every week the children, they'll meet along with the educator who are responsible. They can share their learnings, they can share their feelings. And every day that educator will integrate in the classroom session 5 minutes, having a pep talk, what they are feeling today, what emotions they are facing, and try to discuss those emotions, those feelings, and then how in a day-to-day life you can practically try to address those issues. So similarly, we are planning in those lines.
I guess Sashi ma'am wants to add something on this.
Just one thing I wanted to add what I did. I told my students when I was talking to them that you are living in history. These are historical times, and very soon we will have a chapter on COVID-19 and all the experiences and everything. So instead of feeling bad, start writing your, what all you are feeling, what all is happening, and how it is different from what you have been. And after post-COVID, we will come back to the normal life, and then you'll be stepping out of history, and you have created. So collect the calendar papers and everything, and note down how many lockdowns and what date what happened. So just to keep them involved and motivated. So this is one thing that I have introduced in my school, so that when you come back, we'll have sessions and you'll tell your experience and all those things. So this was just one thing I wanted to add on. Thank you.
Wow, great. And I strongly believe that a person should act as a master of the life by putting your health, well-being, and happiness first. If you all agree with me, write yes in the comment section. So great. Now I'm sharing the link in the chat box, and I request all the panelists and attendees to fill that and give us their valuable feedback about the webinar. I would also like to thank all the panelists for taking out time and making this an enriching discussion. It was an honor to have you all here with us. Thank you, Novita ma'am. Thank you, Aarti ma'am. Thank you, Amruta ma'am. Thank you, Dheeraj sir. Thank you, Sabina ma'am. Thank you, Sashi ma'am. Thank you, Vidhukesh sir. I would also like to thank all the lovely audience out there for joining us. Please follow us on our Facebook page to know more details about the upcoming webinar. The next webinar is scheduled on Monday, that is 22nd of June, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget to register yourself. Use the link given on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page link has been shared in the chat box. And thank you once again. This is Ishan Waldia signing off. Wish you a great evening. Stay home, stay safe, and stay connected.
Thank you, Ishan. Thank you, Rockford. Thank you, Novita ma'am. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the
And
panelists.
nice gathering. Nice to meet all panelists from distinct states.
Same here.
Thank you, sir.
So nice. So nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ishan, can you share the numbers of all the people who were there today?
Sure, definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Nice talking, everybody.
Same
here.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
So all the audience out there, kindly share your valuable feedbacks. The link has been shared on the chat box.
We can leave right away.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There must be a button.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the right hand corner. To know more about the further webinars, kindly click on the link and go to our Facebook page. Thank you, audience. You have been lovely audience. Thank you.